The first blast hit the lead truck and threw dirt, glass, and metal into the night. Nora Quinn hit the mud, ears ringing, cheek cold against gravel. Bullets snapped over her head. Blue tracers crossed with red. The mountain air smelled of diesel, cordite, and wet dust. A child cried somewhere in the ruins. Then the second blast rolled the street like a wave. Contact front, left, and high, Nora shouted. Her voice felt far away. She tasted grit. She pushed up, boots sinking in a broken gutter, and dragged the stunned driver behind the engine block. Ortega, smoke. Now. Ortega, the youngest in the team, popped canisters downrange. Gray fog spilled and curled through headlight beams. Someone on the rooftops fired a long burst. Tiles shattered. A bell clanged from a collapsed minaret. Two shooters on the pharmacy roof called Rami from the rear truck. Third on the water tower. Mark them, Nora said. No one pushes past the school. Civilians inside. It was supposed to be a simple nighttime drop. Food, bandages, water filters. In and out before curfew. The convoy had rolled into the old market, narrow streets, and stacked balconies. Too many angles. Too many shadows. The ambush had waited for the turn where the road pinched to one lane. Another burst tore the side mirror off the lead truck. Glass stung Nora's neck. She pressed a bandage on the driver's temple and handed him a pistol. Stay down. Count to 60. Then crawl. A mortar tube coughed from the alley. The round clanged against a corrugated roof, bounced, and dropped into the mud behind Nora with a soft plop that froze everyone. The fuse hissed. Ortega lunged and kicked it under the axle of a wrecked taxi. A white flash slammed into the undercarriage. The taxi jumped and came down crooked. Nora's ears went silent for a beat. When sound returned, it came like a rush of water. Good save, she said, breath short. Rami, suppress the tower. Ortega, on me. We move. They sprinted low along the wall. Mud splashed under their boots. Nora breathed through the powder stink and the bite of cold. A door cracked open to her right. An old woman's face appeared, lined, terrified. Nora held up a flat hand. Stay inside, she said. The woman nodded, lips trembling, and vanished. The alley to the pharmacy ran like a throat. Nora slid to a stop behind a stack of broken bricks and looked up. Two silhouettes hunched behind the parapet. She read the rhythm of their fire. Short controlled bursts. Skilled. A third shape flashed a signal with a tiny mirror. A reply winked from the water tower. Kadir, she thought. The warlord who ran this quarter of the city liked clean ambushes and public lessons. His men hit supply routes and filmed the panic. He radioed false safe passages. He punished villages that cooperated with relief teams. He did not waste ammo. A window chattered to her left. Ortega flinched. The brick beside him spit dust. Nora leaned out and squeezed 2 rounds. The chatter stopped. Cross, she said. They broke from cover and rushed the pharmacy door. It was chained. Nora shot the lock and kicked through. Inside, the place smelled of mold, sugar, and the 6-week bite of antiseptic. Shelves lay on their sides. She moved up the stairwell, 1 step at a time, hugging the inside rail so shots from above would overshoot. At the roof hatch, she held up 3 fingers. 2. 1. She pushed and flowed through. The first gunman swung his muzzle too slow. Nora put him down. The second rushed her, eyes wide, silent. They grappled near the edge. She felt the rough concrete under her palms and the hot breath on her cheek. He tried to twist her wrist for the knife. She hooked his ankle. He went down hard and the knife clattered away. Ortega fired once. The man stilled. Nora crawled to the parapet and peered over the market. The water tower loomed 50 meters away, its rusted legs stitched with muzzle flashes. Rami's suppressive fire pinned the shooter but did not silence him. Nora keyed her radio. "Rami, hold. I am marking the tower." "How?" Ortega asked, panting. Nora pulled a small infrared strobe from her vest. Old habit. Old kit. She clipped it to a length of cord and whirled it once, then let it dangle over the parapet to blink in the tower's direction. "Watch for the strobe. Walk your fire 5 meters low and right." Rami adjusted. 2 bursts. The tower muzzle stopped flashing. Silence slid over the street, thin and fragile. Smoke drifted in sheets. The distant child still cried, softer now. Someone sobbed in the school doorway. Nora breathed once, twice, and waited for the next move. Kadir always had a next move. It came on the public address speakers that lined the market arches. His voice poured from them, smooth and amused. "Brave visitors," he said. "Leaving gifts in my streets. You shoot my roof. You break my lock. You take my night. And you think the mountain does not watch." Ortega swallowed. "He sees us." "He always does," Nora said. "Load and roll. We push to the school. We take who we can and we leave." She stood and signaled the trucks. Engines coughed to life. The convoy crept forward, bumpers almost touching. The school gate squealed open. A teacher stepped out with both hands raised. Pale faces peered from behind her skirt. Then Nora's second radio cracked. A different band. A different voice. Sharp. Tinny through static. "Mayday, Mayday, Falcon 2. Single engine failure. Hydraulic pressure is bleeding. I cannot hold altitude. I am 7 miles north of the old market. Fuel critical. Request vectors to any strip. Anyone, copy." Ortega stared. "A jet. Here." Another voice, urgent. "Falcon 2, say souls on board." 2. "One is wounded." Nora froze. No one on her team knew this frequency. No one knew the codes. She did. She heard the airframe in the pilot's voice. She heard the strain of a failing pump. 9 years fell away. The weight of a helmet. The sting of cold oxygen. The taste of metal when you know the sky is about to take something from you. "Market convoy, do you copy?" the pilot called. "Anyone with a radio, please." Nora keyed her mic. Her hand shook. "Falcon 2, this is ground." "I copy." The reply came fast. "Who is this?" "Identify." Nora looked at Ortega. His eyes searched her face for answers she had never offered. She turned away and pressed the transmit button. "This is Ghost 3, she said. "I am giving you vectors." The radio went silent for one breath. Then, in a voice she knew too well, came the pilot's reply. "Ghost 3. Nora. I thought you were gone." The speakers above the market hissed. Kadir laughed softly into the night. Nora's mouth went dry. The city faded. The radio filled her head. Falcon 2 breathed ragged over static. Pumps groaned in the background. Metal complained. She could hear the F-16 shaking itself apart. Falcon 2, she said. Winds light from the west. You are losing altitude. You have a strip north by northwest. Old Brigade runway. 2,000 meters. Dirt and cracked concrete. I can light it. How? The pilot asked. The voice was steady. Tight. Controlled. I am leaking fuel. My right leg is useless. WSO is hit. Nora heard a muffled cough beside the pilot. She pictured blood on a flight suit. She did not let the image live. My convoy can mark the threshold with headlights, she said. I need 2 minutes to reach the field. I will give you bearing on the turn. Kadir's voice swept down again from the market speakers. He sounded pleased. Ghost. I knew you were not a ghost. I knew the mountain would speak your name. Ortega blinked. He knows you. Not now, Nora said. Rami, get the convoy moving. Headlights on. School bus at the front. Everyone else, follow. Ortega, with me. We take the rover. 2 marker flares. 4 chem sticks. Night vision off. Eyes will adjust. Rami hesitated. We leave the school. We come back, she said. Load who you can in 1 minute. Then move. The field is 7 miles. We do this or 2 people fall from the sky into these roofs. The teacher stared at Nora through the gate. A small boy clung to her sleeve. Nora crouched and met his eyes. Stay inside. It gets loud. Then it gets better. Ghost 3, the radio said. Say heading. Bring your nose to 310, Nora said, voice level. Ease left 2 degrees at the water tower. You will see no lights. Trust the bearing. Say your name. Silence. Then, Eli Ward. Her world contracted. Old memories knocked. She forced them out. Copy, Eli. Keep your climb shallow. Do not yank the stick. You have 1 engine fighting. Keep it alive. She jammed the rover into gear. Tires spat mud. Ortega strapped in and held the flares like a priest holds candles. The street raced under them. Shattered tile flicked from the tires. The night smelled of hot rubber and wet brick. The convoy rolled behind them with headlights covered to slits. Rami's voice crackled. I have 20 civilians in the school bus. 2 elderly. 1 infant. We are moving. Nora drove by feel and memory. Every turn was a muscle twitch. Every alley had its echo. The city rose and fell. Gunfire popped far off like firecrackers. The speakers kept talking. Kadir's tone shifted. Patient. Predatory. People of the market, he said. Listen to her instructions. The ghost pulls a bird from the dark. She wants you to look up. Do not look up. Look at her trucks. Look at her presence. She steals your children with kindness. Ortega cursed under his breath. He will hit the convoy. Nora pushed the rover harder. The engine whined. The old runway waited beyond the low hills. Once it had held medevac birds. Now it held weeds and goats and dust. Falcon 2, Nora said. Say altitude. 3,000 and dropping. I am bleeding hydraulic fluid. My right hand is numb. WSO breathing. Faint. Listen. You will land gear up. The strip is rough. Jets do not like it. You will ride it in on your belly? Jettison what you can. A harsh chuckle filled the radio for half a second. Copy. Stripped to bones. I never thought I would hear your voice in this place. Hold it together, Nora said. Turn 1 degree right. Confirm you see a stand of eucalyptus on your left. Negative. I see smoke and a ridge. Then you are south by 4 degrees, she said. Correct left. Do not chase your nose. Little steps. They topped the last rise. The runway lay ahead, 2 long slashes of broken concrete. Nora skidded to a stop at the threshold. Ortega jumped out and cracked the flares. Whitefire roared. He ran them to the edges and planted them at 45 degrees. His face glowed pale in the light. Rami, Nora said. Line your truck's centerline. Headlights low. Keep your engines in gear. If he overshoots, you clear the path on my call. Copy, Rami said. His voice carried a tremor. Children are crying. Teacher is calm. We are set. A low thunder built to the north. The jet sound came late, then all at once. It rolled over the hills like a heavy door dragged across stone. Nora looked up. Black on black. A shape moving wrong. Nose dipping. Wing lights dead. Falcon 2, you are 3 miles. Gear handle up. Keep it there. You are centered. I see nothing, Eli said. I have instruments and hope. You have me, she said. Bring the throttle gentle to idle at the threshold. Hold the nose off as long as you can. Do not let the wing bite. The speakers behind them crackled. Kadir's voice grew close. He had patched into the air band. Pilot. Hear me. Your runway is a trap. The ghost will trade your life for a picture. Turn east. Follow my fire. I can give you light. 3 orange blooms flicked alive on a hill to the right. Flares arced and hung in air. They painted the runway in false dawn. They painted Nora. They painted the convoy. They painted the school bus full of faces. Ortega looked at her. Sweat ran down his temple. He will walk the mortar onto us. A whistle cut the night. A shell cracked the far end of the strip. Concrete spat and jumped. Kids screamed from the bus. Rami swore and killed his headlights. The world lurched back into black. Falcon 2, Nora said. Ignore the hill. The real lights are at your feet. You have 20 seconds. A new sound cut through the thunder. A pickup engine. Fast. From the west. Headlights off. A dark shape tore along the service road beside the runway. Men stood in the bed with a tube on a tripod. The outline was thin. Ugly. Familiar. RPG, Ortega shouted. Nose pointed at the bus. Nora grabbed the rifle from the rover rack. She braced on the hood and drew a hard breath. Her right shoulder ached from the rooftop fight. Her hands shook. She pressed them still. The scope caught faces. Scarves flapped. A finger tightened on a trigger. Eli, she said. Hold steady. She exhaled and squeezed. The tube coughed. 2 fire trails streaked toward the runway. 1 toward the bus. 1 toward the flares that marked the threshold where the jet would kiss the earth. The RPG trails screamed through the night. Nora fired mid-breath. Her round struck the man on the tripod, dropping him sideways. His shot went wild, tumbling into the weeds. But the second rocket kept its line. It streaked toward the bus full of children. Nora's heart stopped. She dropped the empty mag, slammed another, and fired at the rocket itself. Hopeless. It streaked closer. Then, at the last instant, a miracle, the rocket clipped a rusted lamppost, spun, and detonated above the road. Shrapnel rained in sparks. The bus windows cracked but held. Kids screamed. The teacher threw her arms wide to shield them. "Falcon 2, Nora shouted. "Runway clear. Nose down now." The jet burst from the dark. A roar like thunder pressed the air flat. The F-16's belly scraped concrete with a grinding scream. Sparks trailed like a comet. It skipped, slammed, skipped again. One wing dipped dangerously, then leveled. The bird skidded the length of the strip, tearing weeds, blasting dust, showering fire. It slowed. Slowed. Finally it ground to a halt 100 meters short of the convoy. Ortega whooped, voice breaking. He made it. Nora ran. Her boots pounded the broken slabs. The smell of scorched rubber and hot metal filled her lungs. Flames licked at the tail. She climbed the fuselage, hands blistering on hot skin. She wrenched the canopy release. It hissed open. Inside, Eli Ward slumped, helmet cracked, face streaked with blood. He tried to lift a hand. 9 years, Nora, he rasped. 9 years and you pull me out of the fire again. The back seat held a young weapons officer, barely conscious, blood soaking his flight suit. Nora tugged him free first, with Ortega's help. Then she leaned in for Eli. His breath was shallow. His eyes burned with recognition. She remembered the last time she had seen them, in a desert base when she turned in her wings and walked away. She had sworn she was done. Sworn she would never climb back into the fight. Behind them, engines revved. Dust lights flickered. Kadir's pickups appeared on the ridge, headlights blacked out, silhouettes of men standing in the beds. Too many. The warlord's voice crackled over the abandoned speakers again. The ghost is no ghost. She bleeds. She saves. And she will kneel. Nora pulled Eli halfway out. He caught her sleeve. He wants you. He doesn't care about us. He knows your name. I don't care what he knows, she said. Her voice cracked. She met Ortega's eyes. Get the WSO to the convoy. Now. Rami, pull the bus clear. Engines running. Prepare for contact. The pickups rolled closer. Headlights finally snapped on, blinding in rows. Men raised rifles. Mortars clanked. A rocket tube shouldered. The first tracer stitched the night. Nora dragged Eli free and half-carried him down the fuselage. Bullets punched sparks from the wreck behind them. She ducked, teeth clenched, muscles screaming. Eli whispered something she barely caught. They won't stop, not until, his voice cut as he coughed blood onto her sleeve. The first mortar shrieked. It fell short, smashing into the far threshold. Dirt and fire sprayed. The convoy's school bus lurched forward, panicked. Screams cut through the night. Nora pressed Eli against the rover. She ripped her last flare from her vest and snapped it. Red fire hissed. She held it high, face lit scarlet. Her chest pounded. She knew Kadir was watching from somewhere near, waiting to see her break. Waiting to see her choose between flight and fight. Rami's panicked voice crackled over comms. We can't hold this. Too many trucks. Too much fire. Ortega slid into cover, rifle braced. Orders, Nora. What do we do? Nora's throat burned. Her secret was gone. Her past was lit in red across the battlefield. And Kadir's army was closing in like wolves. She looked at the jet, smoking. At Eli bleeding against the rover. At the school bus full of children. At Ortega waiting for her call. She raised the radio. Her voice steady at last. Convoy, prepare to break through. On my mark. The pickups revved closer, headlights blazing, gun barrels flashing in rhythm. Kadir's laughter carried in the night. Nora whispered, almost to herself, not tonight. She lifted her rifle, sighted on the lead truck, and fired. The lead pickup exploded into flame. The ridge erupted in shouts. The night filled with fire. The lead pickup burned, throwing shadows across the ridge. Men scrambled out, screaming, some firing blindly into the night. Nora dropped the empty mag, slammed another, and kept firing. Every shot mattered. Every second they held meant children might live. Convoy, move, she barked into the radio. Engines roared. The school bus lurched forward, headlights cutting a trembling path down the broken runway. Trucks followed, bumpers scraping. Dust swallowed the convoy. Mortars thudded again. One slammed near the bus, rocking it sideways. A window shattered. Kids cried out, their screams sharp and raw. Rami, Nora shouted. Keep them straight. Don't stop. Whatever happens, don't stop. Copy, his voice came, ragged but firm. Ortega crouched by the rover, spraying bursts to pin the ridge. We're running low, Nora. 2 mags left. Make them count, she said. Eli, slumped against the rover, forced his head up. His voice rasped. You can't outrun him. Kadir doesn't let prey leave. He'll follow until he breaks you. Nora's jaw clenched. Then we break him first. Another volley of tracers chewed across the concrete. Ortega ducked, barely avoiding one that snapped past his cheek. They're closing. 30 meters and counting. The roar of engines grew. Pickups swarmed down the slope, headlights bouncing. Armed men howled from the beds, rifles blazing. Nora grabbed Ortega's shoulder. Hold them here. Give the convoy a gap. I'll draw their fire. Ortega stared at her. That's suicide. Orders, she snapped. Do it. She yanked Eli's sidearm from his vest and sprinted into the open. The red flare still hissed in her hand, throwing sparks. Gunfire immediately swung toward her. Bullets cracked the ground. Sparks spat from broken slabs. She zigzagged, firing back, forcing the pickups to follow her instead of the convoy. Her ears rang with the storm of gunfire. Her chest burned. Every breath was hot smoke. But she kept moving, forcing Kadir's men to chase her light, her silhouette. The first pickup veered toward her, engine howling. She waited until it closed, then dove to the side. She fired into the cab. Glass shattered. The truck swerved and flipped, rolling across the runway in a grinding scream of metal. The convoy broke through the gap, headlights flickering. The bus bounced, tires smoking. Rami's voice cut over comms. We're clear of the ridge. Repeat, we're clear. But more are coming from the east. Nora's chest heaved. She glanced back. Ortega still fought, crouched behind the rover, muzzle flashing in steady bursts. He shouted into the radio. Nora, fall back. We can't hold this line. But before she could move, the market speakers roared to life again. Kadir's voice filled the night, calm and cutting. Ghost. You run. You hide. You pretend to save. But I will take what matters most. Do you hear me? I will burn your convoy. I will drag your name across the stones. And when the children scream, they will scream your name. Another set of headlights flared from the far side of the ridge. Bigger this time. Armored. The ground shook with their approach. Nora's stomach dropped. Technical trucks. Heavy machine guns, she muttered. Eli coughed blood, forcing words past his broken ribs. He won't stop, Nora. You know that. He won't stop until he breaks you in front of them. The armored trucks rolled into position, barrels swinging toward the convoy. Ortega's voice cracked over comms. What now, Nora? Tell me you have a plan. Nora's hand clenched the flare until it burned her palm. Her chest tightened with the weight of every life depending on her. She looked at the crippled jet, still smoking, its belly torn open. She looked at Eli, barely conscious, but alive. She looked at the convoy vanishing into the dark. And then her eyes caught something on the jet. The hardpoint pylon under the wing. One missile, still live, still armed. Her breath caught. One shot left. One chance. She turned back to Ortega, voice hard. Cover me. I'm going to wake the ghost. Nora climbed the jet like she climbed every wall and gate that night. Her boots found hot metal and torn wiring. Her fingers burned on scorched paint. The missile sat under the wing, a smooth dead thing, the size of a man. Its casing was gleaming, its safety pins torn. It waited like a promise. She did not think in long arcs. She thought in small acts. Breathe. Reach. Cut. Move. Ortega kept the ridge hot. Rami shepherded the last trucks and the bus into a wash of trees. Eli lay on a tarp, blood dark on his flight suit. He tracked her with one good eye. Nora slotted the rifle into the hood and clipped a grenade to a length of cord. Old training. Old hands. She tied the cord to the flare canister, knelt, and threaded the pin with a steady finger. The flare hissed. Red light painted her face. She held the grenade like a promise and waited. Ortega's voice burst over the radio, breathless. Nora, they are on the east flank. Armored trucks, 200 meters. They are cutting off the convoy. Keep them busy, she said. Keep the smoke up. Make them think we aim to run. He swore and obeyed. Tracers stitched the night. Men shouted and fell. The sound of steel rolling over rock grew closer. Nora looped the cord over the wing strut. She slid the grenade up under the pylon and wedged it to the missile's body. A bad move, she knew. Dangerous. Tempting fate. But the missile was the anchor that would let Kadir hold them. If it went, Kadir lost his bargaining chip. If it stayed, the convoy would not leave. She pulled the pin and could feel the warmth of the flare through her palm. The grenade ticked like a small heart. She slipped back, crouched on the fuselage, and took 2 long breaths. Below, Ortega yelled that men ran toward the perimeter. The armored trucks clawed closer. The convoy slowed, then mounted a ridge and disappeared. Eli stirred. His voice was thin. You always were the one to go first. Nora did not smile. She answered softly. Not first. Not alone. She dropped the flare and the grenade. The cord ran free. The explosion would be sudden, sharp. It would ruin the missile, blow open the pylon, flatten the wing. It would not level the runway. It would not take the jet like a mace. It would take one risk and turn Kadir's advantage into a question. The grenade bit. Fire punched up. A sheet of sound hit her. She was thrown against the skin of the fuselage. Metal screamed in a new key. She tasted dust and iron. The missile shuddered and then jettisoned in a crooked arc. It struck the cracked runway and erupted in a wash of flame. The blast threw a wall of heat. Men fell back. Tires popped. For a breath, the ridge fell into silence. Nora lay coughing on the jet. Her lungs filled with smoke. Her ears rang. She tasted copper. Ortega pulled her down. Rami ran up, face covered in dust, eyes wide. Eli coughed and grinned, a wet thing on his lips. You drove them off, Eli rasped. You blew his toy. Nora laughed, a rough bruise of sound. Not yet, she said. We still need to run. But Kadir was not done. He moved like a predator that would not be denied. He gathered men and armor and a moral cruelty that fed on spectacle. He wanted to take Nora and drag her back through the market. He wanted to break the convoy with pictures and fire. The convoy came through the trees in a ragged line. The bus was dented, windows blown, children silent and pale. Mothers clutched infants and counted heads. Rami counted twice. The trucks limped with flat tires and shredded cargo. They staged behind a low berm and the exhausted survivors spilled from them. They pressed against each other like a small piece of the old world. Nora mounted the rover. Her body ached. Her shoulder throbbed where it had taken a blow. Her hands trembled. She looked at Eli. He was wrapped in a blanket, breathing in ragged poles. He kept watching her like a man watching an old map. He knew roads she had tried to leave behind. He knew debts she could not list. You leave now, he said. You cannot stay. They will hunt you by name. Nora thought of the child behind the teacher's skirt. She thought of the old woman at the alley. She thought of the men who ran to save a convoy that was not theirs. She thought of the names she had buried when she walked away from the Air Force. She thought of the nights she had promised herself peace. You cannot pretend to be gone, Eli said. Not when the sky calls. Nora met his gaze. She felt the pull like a worn harness. Duty sat heavy in her. Morality sat heavier. Brotherhood sat like a stone in her chest. We leave, she said, voice steady. We take the field. We take the wounded. Then we move to the next village. We do not hide. We answer when the sky calls. Rami barked orders and the convoy moved. Ortega checked the children and gave them water. Men prayed in low voices. Kadir's men scraped the ridge and melted back into the wreckage of the market. Their leader's voice came once on the public speakers. You think you can walk away, he said, angry and small. The mountain remembers. Nora did not answer. She strapped Eli into the rover, and she climbed in beside him. Her fingers found the radio and keyed it for a channel she had not used in years. It felt like putting on an old jacket. The fabric fit. Ghost 3 to command, she said. Her voice was raw, but it carried. We have wounded. We have survivors. We will need medevac and clearance. A pause on the line. Then a voice she did not expect. A flat, official tone. Ghost 3, we read you. Reinforcements en route. Do not engage unless you must. Hold your position for medevac. Nora let out a breath she had not known she held. She did not feel safe. She felt ready. She felt the old gear click back into place, but different. There would be no neat return to the life she had walked away from. She had been seen, named, thrown into the light. She had chosen the light again. Eli squeezed her hand. It was a small, human press. You always did the right thing, he whispered. Nora looked at the children, stirred now to timid smiles. She looked at the burned strip of runway and the stummery of a missile's crater. The convoy skinned itself back to life. Men loaded what they could. Women steadied infants. A teacher hummed a lullaby. The medevac birds would come. The convoy would move. Kadir would rage and scheme. The mountain would remember. Nora had stepped back into the net of war. She had not signed up for glory. She had signed up to answer when a life hung in the throat of the sky. The rover rolled away from the runway and into the knife-edge dawn. Nora sat with the taste of smoke on her tongue. She had kept people alive. She had lit a signal that would carry her name across radio bands and market speakers. That was a burden and a promise. In the rearview, the city lay smoldering and fragile. Far above, the sky turned pale, like a wound healing. There would be more nights. There would be more choices. She did not know if she would ever again walk away clean. She only knew that when the sky called, she would answer.